Okay, I was asked about this. Now, I'm not an expert, folks, people, y'all, dudes, dudettes, whatever, to all the people out there in YouTube land. I'm not an expert on this, so I can only go with what I know. Um, but I was asked again a question about like fake units, stage units. You mean at the at being done by the storage unit company? I was, we got ripped off by Public Storage. Someone said I should do another one about another public storage to see if I get ripped off there too. But I'm not big enough where I can spend a lot of time. If I had a channel where my video might make $30,000 in 3 months or something, let's say it makes 10,000 a month on a video, then I could do that kind of thing. I have the luxury, the flexibility to do that. But my videos make $8 lifetime, whatever, maybe even less. So I can't really have that luxury of going out there to like purposely allow myself to get ripped off just to film it. If I had a sponsor or something, maybe I could do that. If public storage, we're not going to rip you off, come on back, and then they paid for everything, and then then maybe I can do that. But that is kind of interesting. Maybe I will if I find a real cheap unit. Maybe just throw a little money out there and go see if what I find matches what they said I'll find. Go from there. So this one here, maybe I'll call it "All That Glitters Is Not Gold" or "Is Gold." I don't know. But someone had sent me a video, and they said, and she and I both had this question: that if you have money in the unit and you have access to the unit, why wouldn't you take the money out of the unit, pay for the unit, versus losing the unit? And could those be fake? Some of them look like they could be fake. I'm not calling out anybody. I'm by no means an expert. They can film whatever they want to film. They can make it fake. I knew Storage Wars was fake probably after watching the second episode, and I had like almost no experience in that world, but it just didn't make any sense. And also, um, Pawn Stars. Why would if I have a little toy and I don't know if it's worth $25 to give to this guy for this toy? It could be fake. So I had printed in an expert to look at it and be filmed. Look at this little toy tank. I think what it was, and see if I should or should not buy that $25 toy. So I pay an expert $100 to come look at a $25 toy, and that's just not real. It's impossible. And then they were saying that the guitar guy would bring in guitars from his own shop and pretend like somebody had brought it in and have it looked at or whatever, and they were exposed. But I knew those were all fake. But here's the one they showed me a video, or sent me a video to watch, and I'm not gonna, I don't have rights to it, so I can't really put it on here. But you kind of know where to look. But if I film one and it's no good, then or I lose money on filming it, I'm not going to gain the money for making a video. Like, for example, Jeebus, on his channel, he just went to one that was covered in a blanket, and it turned out with little or no value. Maybe he broke even. I don't know. But he gets all that revenue for it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube, and he's on, I don't know how to put things on other channels to be monetized. I'm not monetized on YouTube. I'm on Facebook or Instagram, so I only do things on YouTube. I won't look at that. If I get a little bit better off financial, where I can take about 3 or 4 days and maybe just work on the channel instead of working daily 7 days a week, maybe I'll do that. But this one right here, the person owed $250. They said, the person is doing the narration, who went to clean out, and he said, well, looks like there's might be some. It wasn't like a like a 17 by 30. It was like maybe like a 5 by 4 or 5 by 5. It was kind of small. He said, well, maybe we'll find something. We're only out $250, or I think he bought it for, the person owed $250 and he bought it for $310. So the person loses all their stuff, but they get $60. The difference between what they owe and what the storage unit recovered on that. I don't know how the fees work and all that, but so anyway, so he goes in and they clean it. They start cleaning it out, and right by the door they find a jewelry box. You can see the jewelry box in the photos. He showed the photos. See, this is why we bought it. There's a jewelry box there, and it's about this big. The kind where you can, the door's open. It's glass and it has little drawers, and then it's glass front, so you can see if you have any necklaces. There's little hooks to hang some necklaces, and maybe you can even hang a bracelet if it's closed on there too. I'm sure you could. So he opens up the door. Okay, no, there's one little pearl necklace hanging there with a little teeny pearls, kind of like he gives a little girl, maybe worth $20. But remember, they only owe like 200, I think 250 maybe, something like that. Okay, so the next thing they do, they find that is worth maybe $25, so they got 10% back right now. Then the next thing they open one of the drawers, nothing. Then cosmetic jewelry. There was like a little smiley face plastic ring like you'd give to a kid at a birthday party. Then the third drawer was white gold, 18 karat white gold, which I think is about 120 an ounce. I mean, $120 a gram or whatever. These are 13 grams. So you take 13 times 120 right there. Why didn't they just, they have access to the thing. Why don't they go take those out and say, okay, we'll be right back. They go to the local jewelry store and say, hey, I have these. Can you check it out for me? Okay, it's white gold. It's 18 karat. You have here around $2,000. And he said, maybe they'll say, I give you $1,800. Well, you're going to lose everything. So when you just take those earrings, get the $1,800, pay the storage unit, put the rest in the bank or the savings or gas tank, whatever you need to spend money on. Once you do that, you just found a pair of earrings that covered the price of that unit 6 times. 6 times that. So he didn't say anything about that. He's, oh yeah, these look like they're white gold, and then they looked and it was stamped like 18K. So 18 karat. Then they find another. Then there's a ring, and he's, oh, this has to be fake. And he looks at it, and then it said, it had a little mark on it. It turns out that was 24 karat. Well, he said, oh, this is probably fake gold, and that's probably cubic zirconia. It turns out it wasn't. It was a real diamond on a real gold ring. So now they're making bank. They're with that and that. They're probably at $4,000 just for this little jewelry box that big. So then there's a couple other little things like broken jewelry, like a little clasp or something like maybe like some of the stuff I found in a jewelry thing, maybe like just like something like this, or maybe like this, like little teeny pieces of jewelry, or things that like one earring and that kind of in a little box, like maybe they were trying to get enough to sell the gold out of it or whatever. So none of that's what it was, but they made probably I don't know, maybe $5,000, $4,000 on when they first came in. They were, oh, this is just trash, a bag of trash. Where's that little jewelry box? Oh, there it is. And they go and they get the jewelry box. It's really small, so you can see the jewelry box when they open the door. But he's, oh no, where's the jewelry box? Well, it's right there in the photo. Someone in one of the comments said, yeah, right there where you put it, dum dum. But anyway, so he goes in and then they get that. So they're way over the money. And why didn't the person get them? There's two things. Why was all that in there, and why didn't the person get that? Because they always say the good stuff's usually towards the back. So when they first opened it, it was like there was a plastic bag about the size of a kitchen trash can, not the the outside garbage bags, but it's full of just used styrofoam cups of different sizes. Maybe they're making a project with styrofoam. Maybe they were, who knows what they're doing. But so he throws that away. Then they found something that looked like a couple of soiled kids' diapers and some kids' socks, and throws that away, and then some trash. Then they find the jewelry box, so now they're styling. So they go in and they start looking at this stuff. Some typical stuff. There was a laptop with the screen broken. There was pots, pans, all the stuff you normally would find, right? Then they go in a little further, and they find a styrofoam container like this, and one of those clamshells looks like it could hold like a hot dog, or if it's at a donut store, maybe they put a eclair in there, some kind of nice bakery. They put it's like that size, maybe like 11 inches by maybe 3.5 inches by 4 inches deep or whatever. It has a little clamshell. So oh, it looks. He says, oh, looks like they left their lunch or whatever. And because there's some other stuff, around there, like used, McDonald's thing, like one of those little plastic refillable cups they have, and that kind of there's some straws and some ketchup packages and all that in a bag. But they open that, and what's in there? 3.5 ounce gold men's necklace. 3.5 ounces, 24 karat gold. How much was that worth? Probably, I don't know, $20,000 maybe, $15,000 to $20,000. So all of that was in there. So then you got to think, okay, they were $250. They could have just opened the little drawer, taken out the earrings and paper, probably, or take the little ring. I probably would have taken both. If I had $250 where it was, and I didn't want to get rid of all my jewelry because I have sentimental value, I'd take the pieces that were least sentimental. To me, maybe the ring, unless it was like grandma's ring when she came over on the Mayflower or something, I don't know. But yeah, I would take whatever I could to sell. to get out of that situation. So you think, why would this person? And then they found other stuff, electronics and some Nikes. Why would you have a unit that has quick turn? It's not like you found something you're gonna have to list it on eBay and wait 7 days to get your money. You drive to the jewelry store. Let's say it takes you 8 minutes to drive to the jewelry store. You get out, you have a little plastic bag. You say, "Here, I'd like to see about this ring." Okay, I can give you $500 for the ring. Done. You get the $500. You go, or these earrings are worth, a couple $1,000s. Okay, I'll give you $1,600. Whatever it takes to get out of trouble. You wouldn't tell them, "Oh, I'm in a lot of trouble." Just, "Oh, I want to sell some of my jewelry that I have." And you get cash right then, and you go take care of it. So that one looked kind of weird. So now you're going to get lucky. I mean, you're going to get lucky. The last one I did had the monitor in there. It had the really nice vacuum cleaner that was in there. That was worth money. I had the monitor, which is about a $375 monitor. I'll try to sell for a couple $100, maybe 150, whatever. But it would easily pay whatever was on there. Then I found jewelry in there. That one shirt I found, I can't remember, it was a triple XL men's shirt, and I sold that for $38. So it's easily, that was real fast. But you have to wait for the auction. If you do an auction, you can do it, buy it now. If I was in a big hurry, I'd do those things, buy it now. I'd put that. I'd see what other people are selling that flannel shirt for, and if they have an auction and they start their auction at like $25, it's a $50 shirt. They started at $25, and I list mine for $19. Buy it now. So I'm not going to go. Why would I do this? Go to the auction. I'm going to buy this guy for $19, and boom, and I would sell it the same day. But there was cameras in there. There was jewelry. There was a bunch of gift cards. Some had a little bit of value, but yeah. So it paid for itself. So I'm not saying you can't get one that's going to pay for itself and pay for itself more than double. You can double, but that's kind of weird to think that. Why didn't the person, unless they got, she said the lady said she wasn't able to pay her bill, is what the person's saying in the video. But I think if the person told me, "Hey David, I can't pay my bill," "Oh no, let's see what we can do for you. And maybe you have something that you can sell. Let's take a look." And they open the door, and there's that jewelry box right there. And I said, "Well, let's take a look at these earrings. Maybe I can buy that from you or something." And maybe I have a little gold test. And I test it. I said, "Look, I'll give you $500 for these right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I have I make 700 or whatever." Just doesn't seem to, someone would also be able to loan them $225. Even if you had to take a payday loan, which is almost like 100% interest, you get a loan for a week they give you $250 for a week, and then you pay back like almost $500 at the end of the week or something like that. It'd be worth it because you have all that stuff. As long as you don't lose access to that. If you don't lose access to the unit, you can come back and get things out of there. Why wouldn't they have done that? So that one looked pretty fake. But a lot of the ones where they score, Daryl Sheets, the guy he recently died. Remember, he had the unit, I guess, with a bunch of artwork in there, like $1 million of artwork. That kind of thing happens. One person opened up and they found, was it over $1 million in currency? They ended up turning that in, and then I think it ended up being stolen, but there's some kind of reward. They got that. Maybe there's a safe in there. Maybe people don't even know what's in that safe, but this is right by the front of that jewelry box. If you're about to lose it, wouldn't you at least go in and look to see? Maybe I bet you the pair of Nikes that they sold, the Nikes and maybe a couple of small items, they could have sold that day and got $500. And then paid it off. So that didn't make any sense. So that does happen. But should we get another unit from Public Storage and see if they rip us off, then do another video? Maybe if they write them ahead of time, "Hey, Public Storage, you ripped us off last time. We're going to give you another chance. We've got this unit." And then maybe they would then be forewarned to not steal anything. But I think they're so addicted to stealing, they just steal. And the mistake they made on this one, I'm sure they steal from every single unit that goes to auction and every single unit that maybe sits dormant for a while. I'm sure they steal from there. That was the one in Monterey Park, California. So if in Monterey Park, California, don't go to the Public Storage there. They're thieves. The property manager and the area manager, they're in cahoots and they steal from you. So we did videos back that way. This one will be in the same same playlist, which is we found we got a storage unit. But yeah, if I tell them ahead of time, then they may make sure it's nothing stolen. They may even put something extra in there. Like I go in there, I see the photos, and then I go, "Oh, I didn't even notice this little pair of shoes here. There's women's Nike shoes worth $20. They could do something like that. I don't know what they would do if they knew ahead of time a guy that knows you steal is coming to do another unit to see if you steal from that one too. But I was talking to a lady. She said, yeah, she was in Connecticut and they stole from her. I did a little quick additional video on that when I was asking should we do one, but I think she was in Connecticut and they stole, so she took them to small claims. They have a different name for like magistrate something. They look into maybe it's a hearing with a lawyer, judges or lawyers, maybe like a magistrate or someone that does the hearing versus going to a full court because it's civil. No one's going to go to jail for it, I guess. I don't know if anybody's ever gone to jail for these things. The guy that I know, the police officer that knew the guy who was an area manager with public storage, the guy had got arrested, but he had stolen from another company, and they did prosecute that, and he went to jail. I think he got like 6 months for stealing from a boat storage company. Marine storage or something. I don't know. But what do you think? Should we do another one? And what do you think about that unit? Did that sound like it probably was something fishy on there? I would think so, yes. So please subscribe, please like, please share. We do have a contest going, so go back that way, look at the contest. Please subscribe. I think it's in the lower right-hand corner. I always point like this way, which is the lower right-hand corner, but is that where it is? There's a little box there that says subscribe. Please subscribe, because on that contest, if you do subscribe and you win, you'll get a bonus for being a subscriber. And the prizes, once again, they're right here. $50 gift card, and then if you win this and you're a subscriber, you get an extra $7.75 for Starbucks. So if you would like to get any of that, you know what to do. Take care. Subscribe, like, share, and all that good stuff. And make your comments. What are your comments? What do you think?